Drummers Against Implied Timekeeping, Richard D. Albus, your host, HiHats Cymbals. I want to do a reactionary video of what I've been seeing on YouTube to many drummers demonstrating hi-hats and discussing hi-hat cymbals. Now, as a disclaimer, this is my opinion, so I'm asking those of you who are visiting for the first time, bear with me, okay? Now, hi-hat cymbals in general have been around about 100 years, a little over 100, about 120 years actually. And the original sizes were much smaller than they are today. Usually 12 inches was the originals, and some smaller, maybe 13 inches. So for the first, from 1900 to maybe 1920, they were smaller than the present size standard 14s. There's a lot of reasons for that, but music was changing, and as jazz came into the later 20s and 30s, Armand Zildjian wanted to accommodate a lot of the drummers who were asking for a more full sound out of the hi-hat. It was so important to the overall playing of the rhythm. And 14 became the standard size by the 1930s. 14s are still with us today, and they're the most in-demand size for a pair of hi-hats. Now, those of you who visit my channel know that I think hi-hats are really important. I like a remote hi-hat and a closed hi-hat on the things that I teach in the open-handed position. And your hi-hat cymbals are just so important to your sound. But I want to kind of give you my view over my 52 years of playing and 45 years or 46 years of playing out of what my experience has been with these great things on a drum set, hi-hats. 14s were always what I used. The Zildjian new beats were the standard in the 60s and 70s. They were great. They were durable cast cymbals, and the sound was very good. You get a great chick, and the swish was always great. To this day, 14s are great. I'm going to use the word range a lot because that is what you want out of the hi-hat cymbals, the most range. And for some reason, 14s gave you a great chick and range of sound. Now, there are some people, and there was a kind of a movement in the early 80s to start using 13-inch cymbals. And this, I think, is not very good at all because 13s are just less range cymbals for hi-hats. So I would venture to say that you want to stay away from 13s if you can, because they're just less range 14s. You get very little out of a 13 compared to a 14. Unless, you've got them really inexpensive in circumstances, of course. But all things considered equal, a 14 is vastly superior to a 13-inch cymbal. Now, there are 12-inch hi-hats, and there's even 10s, and I think 8-inch hi-hat cymbals. And those would be specialty hi-hat cymbals. So that really doesn't apply to what I'm talking about on the modern drum set. Now, in 1975, after listening to Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy, or something like that, I realized and heard that John Bonham was using 15-inch Paiste 2002 Sound Edge hi-hats. They came into New York City at Manny's, and I was one of the first guys I had to have a pair, and to this day, I never regretted that. 15-inch 2002, that was the ones that John Bonham used, Sound Edges, and they were and are fantastic hi-hat cymbals. Hats off to Bonzo for that, because the chick is richer than a 14 chick when you're closing the hi-hat cymbals. And the range of sounds of a 15 are even, in my opinion, greater than a 14. Greater than a 14, the range. Because you can get a good chick, but you get a great sizzle and the sound, and it records really well. Now, if you go to a 16-inch hi-hat cymbal set, you have some positioning issues, but not much. But they don't sound that good compared to a 15. No comparison. The range of a 16 you would think might have more sizzle or more sounds. And Ringo used 16s for a while because of the sound it got with the Beatles. But I just don't think that today that would be true. I think there's more range from a 15-inch set of hi-hats, considering all the quality being equal, than 16 by a long shot. And the 15s, I think, have more range than 14s by a long shot in range of sounds that you can get. Now, 17s, I know they don't make 17-inch hi-hat cymbals. I've never seen them. But I have seen and played 18-inch Zildjian hi-hat cymbals. They were a specialty set, and this is over 30 years ago, and they were unexpectedly interesting to me. I didn't get them. I played them for some guy had them, and the chick was good. Not as good as a 15, but it had a very interesting low sound, and when you opened them up, they were great. 18-inch Zildjian new beats, which is what they were. Cast cymbals. They were really unexpectedly interesting. So I have a great respect for those 18-inch hi-hat cymbals. I've seen 20s. I think those are specialty cymbals, but they're too low, and I would definitely not recommend them over 18s. So the order of things, and the reason I'm doing this video is a reaction to other videos that I see. 14 is the standard, but I think 15s are more rich. If you can get the difference between a 15 or 14 and you can afford the 15s, get them. They record really well. The chicks are great. The swish is great. I think they're superior to 14s. Do not, under any circumstances, get 13s. They're just less range cymbals. And if you were very fortunate enough, and maybe you did, you can get an 18-inch set of hi-hat cymbals. I definitely would recommend that. They're really great. I'm sure Paiste makes them. Mike Bettis, the custom maker, maybe Octaviano, any of these custom makers could do an 18-inch set. If you can afford that, those would be interesting. All right, but the video is to kind of relate to what you should be looking for in hi-hat cymbals. If you can get 14s, that's good. 15s, I think, are even better range-wise. You get more out of a 15 than a 14, I think. And so, in any style, I don't care what it is. All right, considering different music styles. And then 16s, I'd avoid those. Now, if I had 2 sets of hi-hat cymbals or 3 sets, as you can afford hi-hat cymbals, I have 2 sets. I have both 14s, but that was circumstance. But if I was to have enough money, I would definitely have a 14, a 15, and an 18. I think that's the best, if you can afford that. All right, just to let you know. Now, if you have questions about your particular cymbals or what you're thinking about getting, let me know. Because I've been playing 46 years, and I love hi-hat cymbals. Next to pedals, I think hi-hat cymbals is my favorite thing. It always has been. It's a miracle the way they were invented. And then when they made the remote hi-hat, for me, it was unbelievable, because you can get so much sound and interesting things out of your hi-hat cymbals. I look forward to seeing what you say, or what you're thinking, what you want to get. For those who are visiting for the first time, I have a ton of videos teaching in the open-handed position to enhance your independence and your creativity as a drummer. And if you haven't, please subscribe, because your subscription is the support for me. And I want to thank all of you for looking in on what I'm up to on my channel. All right? So this is kind of me reacting to some videos that I see on people purchasing and talking about hi-hats, something that I just really like and I'm very enthusiastic about. And let me know what you think, all right? So I'll answer any way I can on what you're doing, and if you can, 15s are really good if you can afford them, all right? My best for you, all of you looking in. Take care, all right?